Thank you very much. 10 to 12 with Allison. And we have a guest in the studio today. We're going to chat with him in a little while. He is an author and he's someone who's been a motivational speaker for many years. Today we're going to talk about relationships. So I welcome Michael Stewart. Michael has literally volunteered his time via airplane. He's come all the way from Tobago just to be with us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure.
You know, I read an article that you wrote in one of the newspapers, and I immediately called because I felt so inspired by what you wrote, and so I begged you to come and share it with us, and I'm so happy that you have decided that you will.
And thank you for the invitation.
Okay, so now that we have established, Michael is going to try and come in for a few programs at least.
Yes.
Today we're going to open our telephones, but we're going to firstly talk and get to know Michael, and then at around past, we'll open up the telephone lines. Michael, how did you get into this form of business? Is it business? Is it voluntary work?
No, it is my vocation.
Okay.
It is something that I have a passion for, and I've always wanted to do something that I loved doing, and I knew that I love interacting with people, talking with people, encouraging people, but I never thought that I could go into it full time. Actually, I resigned as the general manager of a television station in order to do this. But that was because, and people said, but that's a risky thing. But you see, if you have a passion, you'll be really willing to go after your passion. Okay. I was a licensing officer first, and when I resigned licensing officer to be the public relations officer of the health department, people said you're going to lose your pension and so on. But I love going after the things I love. I loved as a licensing officer, but I needed to move to the next level. I became the public relations officer of the health department in Tobago, and then I felt I needed to move to the other level. I became the general manager of a television station.
Which television station was
Tobago
this?
Channel 5.
Tobago Channel 5.
The only television station on the island.
And a very successful station.
Yes. And so when I made the decision to make the other move now, because I always want to make the other move. If you have become and fulfilled all you can in a particular station in your life, frustration will step in after that, because you would have met to the zenith of what you could do.
And then it just becomes routine.
That's right.
And you're doing it over and over, and you're not getting, you feel that you just have nowhere else to go.
So I made my final career move, and this is it.
This is where you know you're going to be happy for the rest of your life?
I am sure, I'm dead sure.
What is it that about this vocation that makes you so happy?
Okay, I'm just back from the Cayman Islands doing some talks in the prison there. You see, when I see those young men change their lives and have an inspiration now to do something with their life, no money could pay for that. Seeing the changes in people's lives. When a mother calls and says, after I've done a lecture, that a son approached her and said, listen, we need to talk about our issues. I mean, relationships change. There is a feeling that you get that you are making a mark on society before you leave. Each one of us showed up for a purpose on earth, and I think this is what my purpose is, and your purpose would have a different purpose. This may very well be your purpose, because I know that you reach a number of people and you touch a number of people's lives with your program. So we need to really find out what is my purpose, what's my calling.
Yes. And how, I mean, a licensing officer, health PRO, head of a television station, was it always there in the back of your mind that this was the direction you had to go, or did this happen later in life?
It happened when I met Les Brown. Les Brown came to Trinidad, and Les Brown said that many of us live below our greatest potential, and we live below the dream that we know that we can. We live below our greatest achievement level. And I thought about it for a while, and I said that, hey, listen, I think that there is more in me to give out. And then he made a statement that many times we are afraid to take risk, but if we jump, we'll grow our wings on the way down. And I tell, listen, I need to really jump and grow it on the way down.
All right, but you know, that is something that you hear.
Yes.
You're not going to get something done unless you make the move.
Yes.
You do it.
Yes.
But my goodness, it takes so much courage sometimes to give up on something that is a safe haven. You know, you had a job, you got a monthly salary, you had your little pension. I didn't say little, did I? You had your big pension plan. You had everything to look forward to in your retirement, and you just decided, you know something, I'm going to jump off of this and do something else. That takes a lot of courage.
Yes, it does, it does. And I thank God I have a wife who believes in what I do, and so that made it so much easier, because that would have made it harder in making the move. And when I discussed it with her and so on, and she said, hey, if you've thought of it and you've worked it out in your head, I'm ready to back you. Okay.
This wife of yours, I take it, has a good job.
Actually, she's now thinking of leaving the job. She's now thinking of leaving the job to join me in what I do.
I'm joking, because, you know, quite often somebody would say to their spouse, well, I have a dream, I'm going off to do it. But the only way you could really know that you have the courage to do that is because they have a job to support you. But it's good to know she is now motivated sufficiently that she wants to come and join you in what you're doing.
She's now considering making a move in her life.
Did you have to go and do any formal training? Did you study, or is this something that just comes naturally to you?
Well, I think from the interaction that I've had, I used to run a talk show on radio called Mike at Night. And so I listened to people with their issues. It was more dealing with social matters and so on. And I listened to people with the issues. And over a period of time, you get to understand how people operate. And then with my short programs that I would have done in human behavior, and I'm also a licensed marriage officer. So therefore, I do marriages and counsel sessions and so on. And so that would have helped me tremendously in being able to understand. I think what I do is not really come up with something new, you know. I just find a way to say it that people could understand.
Yes, and that they could relate to you.
That's right, that's right.
You said licensed marriage officer. I know that's the situation in Tobago now. Literally a lot of foreigners come in and decide they want to get married on the beach.
Yeah, actually I performed the first underwater marriage in Trinidad and Tobago.
Really?
And it is still the only underwater marriage.
So you had on snorkel and
we went down fully clothed with wedding gown and everything, fully dressed, and they did 30 feet underwater.
They say when you get married, you're sinking anyway. Who said that?
Yeah, that's literally.
Okay. But literally, you have just done so many things, that all the things that you're doing and you have done would obviously give you more fodder, really, to be able to say the things that you do to people.
That's right.
Okay, in talking to people, motivational, you mentioned there, and that stuck with me, about this young man who, after you spoke to them, said to his mother, we have to go and talk about the issues.
Yes.
How important is it for motivational speakers to reach young people rather than, say, my generation, or what I'd call the parent generation, people in their 30s? You know, they're the early parents. No, nowadays 20s are the early parents.
Yes. Yeah.
Which group do you think it is important for you to reach firstly?
Well, I think it is important for us to meet the adults first.
The adults?
Yes. Many of the issues that our young people go through would have been because of inaction or omissions on the part of adults. And so they are now feeling the brunt of what we did not do right. So I want to meet the adults, and then now I meet with the young people to be able to tell them, listen, notwithstanding what would have happened, there is a responsibility that you have. And that's why I wrote the book, Get Yourself Up, because that book tells you, you have it within you, within your power to be able to move your life from one stage to the next. I was speaking with a young man in the prison in Cayman, and he is in prison. He's about 14, 15 years old. And he is angry in prison. Why? He committed a crime, but it is the first time he was caught, and the magistrate sent him to prison on his first offense. So he's sitting in prison, angry with the magistrate for sending him to court, to the prison on his first offense.
Not angry with himself.
Not angry with himself. Angry with the magistrate for doing it. And she's saying that he is saying that is why so many young men are in prison, because the system is built that nobody gives them a second chance. And I told him, young man, at that rate, you'll be back inside of here again. Because you need to recognize, notwithstanding what the magistrate would have done. Yes, she could have given a second chance. I don't know the peculiarities of the case. But you have a responsibility now to tell yourself, when I get out of here, I'm going to make sure I'm not coming back in here. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make... nothing wrong even saying that, listen, I work so hard, I'll make more money than the very magistrate. I'll build a bigger house. I'll have a better family than the very magistrate. Whatever it is we hate, let's try and overcome it by pulling from within us what we can.
Or to use that emotion of hate and turn it into a challenge.
That's right. As a motivation for you to be able to excel. But if you sit down there and blame the magistrate is not going to condescend and figure, I need to do something for that young man. So you'll be stuck. So therefore, look at where you can be able to make an effort on your own part. And that is coming outside of there and making something of yourself.
Okay, again, the motivation to do something.
Yes.
But you said about adults, you feel that the people you want to reach and talk to? If you have a choice and they hand you a group of little 7-year-olds, some teenagers, you would prefer to say, I'll talk to the adults first,
Yes,
and
yes.
then I'll come down the ladder.
Yes.
What are the major issues that you feel you need to address with adults, or what are the issues that they have from your talk show that you just got like it's a constant thread running through everything?
I have a passion to talk to men because I think that much of what's going on in society really rely upon us, and we can bring a lot of solution and healing, because particularly if we lock into our sons have a link to a father. Even if that father treats that boy badly, that son loves that father. And there is something, my son had an athletic feat at the stadium, Dwight York Stadium, and he called me on my cell phone. There is something about a son looking into the stand and seeing his father, not his mother. While he'll appreciate the mother, but there is something special about seeing the father. And just before he took off running, I saw him scanning the stand to see if I came.
Yes.
And I was able to wave to him and so on. He took off. And when he met at the end and so on, he's scanning again. You see, so I needed to identify with him. And I think as fathers, we need to be there, particularly for our sons. Because that's where they get their